y'all hear that? There it goes again. You thought you saw something, but you're not sure. Only a figure against the night skies. There it goes again. It's that Harriet Tubman, that's who it is. That's how she operates. In and out, quick as a flash. Oh, it's that Harriet Tubman. Only the night skies can attest to her bravery and her missions. That's who it is, that Harriet Tubman. Because you see, that Harriet Tubman wasn't scared of nothing. She wasn't scared of nobody neither. She didn't come in this world to be no slave, and she didn't stay one neither. Early one morning, she stole away. She ran through the forest. She ran through the woods. She ran through the rivers. Hung dogs on her trail. But she ran and ran until she got to freedom. But she didn't stop there. She went back time and time again. She made well over 13 trips and brought more than 500 with her to Freedom Land. $40,000 on her head, dead or alive. But that old Harriet Tubman was too clever. They never did collect on that reward money. Ice water running through her veins, I'm telling you. Oh, that Harriet Tubman was braver than brave. She was known to the slaves as Moses. She was known to the abolitionists as the prophet. She was known to the Union soldiers as General Tubman. Now I figured this thing out in my head. In this life, I'm owed two things, either death or freedom. If I can't have one, I'll have the other. Now go way back to the 1820s, Maryland Eastern Shores. Well, life was beautiful. Big house on the hill, animals grazing, beautiful flowers, white picket fence. Well, life was beautiful in the 1820s, but not for the slaves. Imagine 5 to 10 people all crammed together in a one-room shack. No windows, dirt floors. When it rains, it makes mud puddles on the floor. So you take your mattress made out of leaf or straw, and you try to draw away from that water, trying to keep dry and warm. Oh, I tell you, that slavery was one of the meanest things one person could ever do to another. But then there was a little girl born by the name of Araminta Ross. I can hear her mama calling her now. Araminta, Araminta, come on in this house, girl. Get something to eat before it get too dark. Araminta, where's that little girl? That little girl's never around when you want her. Araminta, come on in this house, girl. Oh, where's that little girl? Where is that little girl? I'm gonna stay right behind this house, and I'm not gonna answer my mama. I hear my mama calling me now. Araminta. That's a big old name, Araminta. Sometimes they call me Minty. I don't like that neither. But I sure enough don't like that big name, Araminta. I like my mama name better. My mama named Harriet. So I'm gonna call myself Little Harriet Ross like my mama, because I like that much better than that big old name Araminta. My daddy say, I'm 5 years old. That's what my daddy said. He said he knew I'm 5 because he already planted the corn 5 times since I've been born. So that make me 5. My daddy knew because my daddy knew everything. My daddy said, when you plant the corn again, I'm going to be old some more. I don't know how old, but I'm going to be old some more. As soon as I get big enough and strong enough, my daddy going to teach me everything in the whole wide world because my daddy know everything. My daddy going to teach me how to swim and what else my daddy going to teach me? My daddy going to teach me how to ride the mule and how to hitch the mule to the wagon and how to row boat and how to shoot his old musket rifle and how to trap a rabbit in the trap. My daddy will teach me everything. My mama said she's gonna teach me some things too, like how to plant and how to make quilts and things and how to cook. But I'd rather my daddy teach me things. There was something about me though. I noticed everything around me. I noticed that when the leaves come on the tree, pretty soon it will be warm. And I noticed that when the leaves fall off the tree, pretty soon it will be cold. And I noticed that all the older slaves would sit on the south side of the cabin because it's warmer there. And my daddy would lick his thumb and put it up and say, oh, that's a west wind that's blowing. I wonder how my daddy know that. So I noticed everything around me. And the master of the plantation, he noticed it too. He said, that little one right there, gonna cause me trouble, I just know it. That little one right there, I can tell. Always got a frown on the face, a mouth all boxed up. Even won't look at me when I talk to her. She's gonna be a troublemaker right there. Master would say, look at me, little girl, when I talk to you and smile. As little as I was, I refused to look at Master and I refused to smile. And Master would just beat me and beat me and beat me. He said, go on work to the next plantation, make me some money. So my first job was to take messages from one place to the next. Master would put something on paper, give it to me, and I would run and take it to the next person. They would put something on the paper and give it to me, and I would run, take it to the next person all day long in that hot sun. Then my second job was to mind the little babies. And Mrs. says, every time that baby cries, you're gonna get beat. And I try to keep that little baby quiet. I try to rock that little baby to sleep, but that little baby cried day and night, and I got beat day and night because I couldn't keep that little baby quiet. So I would go and put fat back grease on all my whelps and go sit by the fireplace and lay on the floor. Try to sleep the best I could. Got up the next morning. I'm walking through the kitchen. I see a bowl of sugar on the table. I want some of that sugar. I ain't never tasted sugar before. They said that sugar tastes real sweet, and I wanted some of that sugar. Ain't nobody around. I reach out and got a handful of that sugar. As soon as I got a handful of that sugar, the bowl fall on the floor. Mr. says, get on back here, you should never touch that sugar. It didn't belong to you. You little thief, get on back here. But I had a handful of sugar. I run out in the woods. I hate that sugar. Oh, that sugar tastes good. I was too scared to go back in the house. I know Mrs. gonna beat me something awful. So I stayed in the woods for 3 days and 3 nights. After the second night, I was getting hungry. So I would come out at night, beat the hogs away. No, get out the way, get out the way. Move out the way, move out the way. And I would get some of that slop out the hog's trough. Move out the way, move out the way, move. hog slop was beginning to make me feel real sick. Oh, I can't eat no more of this hog slop. I might as well go on back in the house and get my beating, because I know she's waiting for me with a big stick. And sure enough, when I got back in the house, she was waiting by the door with the big stick. She said, "You never should have touched that sugar. You never should have touched that sugar. Don't ever touch anything you think me." You know, the more she beat me, I didn't even feel it no more. Seemed like the more she beat me, I got strong inside. And I didn't even feel it no more. So she beat me till she got tired. She just left me there. So put fatback grease in all my whelps. Would lay down by the fireplace, try to sleep on the floor. As soon as morning come, Mr. wake me up and says, "Wake up here, wake up. Go on. Go out in the stream and check the traps and see if any muskrats in the trap." But it's in the dead of winter. Go out in there, I said. Get on out in there and check the traps. See if any muskrats in it. But I can't swim. I can't swim. I'm not drowning that water. Get there, I said. Check the traps, I said. But there's ice on the water. I'm going to have to get a stick to break the ice to get in the water. The water's too cold. The water's too cold. Ain't no muskrats in the trap. Oh, I started sneezing, coughing. Oh, I got the fever. Oh, Mom and Daddy took me back home and put me by the fire and wrapped me with blankets and tried to keep me warm and give me some wild tea to drink. Oh, I got pneumonia. I got the fever. I almost died in that cold stream. I almost died. I almost died. I almost died in that cold stream. I almost died. Oh, people would come and sing and they would pray for me. I got better. I got better. Master says, "Now, little girl, you're gonna look at me now when I talk to you and smile." I said to myself, I almost died in that cold stream. I ain't got nothing to smile about. I ain't gonna look at you neither. So Master would just beat me. Says, "Come on. Unless you was causing me nothing but grief and trouble, just get out of my sight. I'll get back at you yet." So the only salvation I had was being with my daddy. My daddy was what they call a woodsman. He would get his saw and put it in the wagon and take me along with him. He would go in the woods and get his saw and saw down the trees, and I would help him put the small limbs in the wagon. Oh, I'd help Daddy put the small limbs, get the small ones, put it in the wagon. While we were out in the woods, my daddy would show me everything. My daddy would say, "Minty, see that jackrabbit over there? It's got a thick fur. That means it's going to be a cold winter. You see this little bush right here, Minty? Oh, this little bush is good for any kind of swell or itch you might have. Rub some of that on, the itch stop and the swelling disappear just like that. You got that, Minty?" I said, "Yes, sir, Daddy," because I followed right behind my daddy. He said, "Now, See this one right here? This bush right here with the 3 leaves? Oh, that's good for any kind of fever you might have. Boil this up, drink it down, fever disappear in no time. And there's one more, let's see. Oh, this one right here, Minty. Oh, this one with the 3 leaves, the 2 leaves on each side. Sometimes they have a blossom on. This one ain't got no blossom. But when they got the blossom on, oh, that's real powerful, Minty. Put some of that in your mouth, put you off into a deep sleep. You got that, Minty? Said, yes, sir, Daddy. Because I followed right behind my daddy. My dad said, now, Minty, I'm going to teach you how to walk through the woods so quiet, not even the birds would flutter. You walk right behind me now, you hear? My dad would put his toe down and curl it around. Put his toe down, curl it around. Put his toe down, curl it around. And I followed right behind my daddy. Pretty soon I got so good at it, I could sneak up on any animal and just touch them right on the nose. Then I started sneaking up on people. They would say, ah, Minty, we didn't hear you coming. You're so quiet, you sneak up on us. And I started scaring people all the time because I was real quiet. I could sneak up on them just like that. Then me and Daddy would go in the wagon and take it back and unload the wagon and come back and get another load. And we did this for about 3-4 times a day. Then when nighttime come, my dad would say, all right, everybody come on outside. Come on outside, I got something to show you. All right, I got something to show you. Where is it? Where is it? Oh, it's got to be here somewhere. It's got to be here somewhere. Where is it? Where is it? There it is. There it is, Minty. The North Star. See how the North Star look, Minty? Just like the gourd we use to dip our water out of the well. The dipper in the handle, right in that handle, is the North Star, Minty. You get that picture in your head, Minty? The dipper, handle. Right in the handle is that North Star. Now you follow that star, you're going north, you hear? Don't forget that, Minty. Now, if it's rainy and cloudy out, you can't find that star, you feel the tree. You feel the tree for the moss. When you feel the tree for the moss, you go in the direction of the moss. The moss only grows on the north side of the tree. You remember that now, you hear? I said, yes, sir, Daddy. I'll remember it. Little did I know what my dad was teaching me I could use later on in my life. I didn't know it at the time neither. I didn't know it at the time neither. So I continued growing stronger, and getting wiser, and thinking about the day that I can run off to freedom. I continue getting stronger, growing up bigger, working in the fields. When you work in the fields, that's when you can find out where everything's going on. This particular day, we're picking beans in the field. I hear everybody talking. I said, what's everybody whispering about? They said, well, we heard that Nat Turner escaped. I said, who's Nat Turner? They said, well, he's a slave from Southampton, Virginia. He escaped and took a lot of others with him. I thought to myself, if Nat Turner could escape, so can I. As soon as I get big enough and strong enough, I'm running off from this place. I ain't no different from that mule out there. That mule stay in the field from sunrise to sunset, giving little scraps of food. From sunrise to sunset in all kind of weather. You don't do what they say, you get beat. I ain't no different from that mule. I'm running off as soon as I get big enough and strong enough. Mama said, shh, shh, quiet, Minty, quiet. If anybody hear you say that, they'll sell you way deep south, we'll never see you again. I said, Mama, I don't care who hear me. As soon as I get big enough and strong enough, I'm going. I'm going off from this place. Mama said, Minty, just be quiet, quiet. Oh, I I wiped my sweat from the sun. Oh, I felt strong inside. Oh, I looked around. I saw Big Jim running. I wondered what Big Jim was up to. So I followed Big Jim to the bean row. I followed him. Pretty soon Big Jim went into that little old cabin way at the end of the field. That old cabin was like a store. It was like a barter place. And when the weather got too bad, we went in that old store. So that was our old incoming store. Big Jim ran in that store. Pretty soon, Master come in his house behind Big Jim. I looked in the window. Master says, Minty, put your hand out and keep Big Jim from running off. I don't want Big Jim to not run off. I want to see him run off. Put your hand out, Minty, and keep Big Jim from running off. I didn't know what to do. So, pretty soon Big Jim come by and almost knocked me over and took off for the woods. Master got some kind of pound weight from his pocket and threw it. He meant to hit Big Jim, but it hit me right here. Oh, there was a big hole in my head. Blood just gushed out everywhere. Oh, Mom and Daddy took me back home and bandaged me up and tried to keep the blood from coming out. Oh, I just bleed and I just laid there, not making a sound. Weeks passed. People would come and sing and pray and rub oil on me and sing and pray. I continued to bleed and I just laid there, not making a sound. 1 month passed. I still didn't make a sound. 2 months passed. I just laid there, not making a sound. People would come and sing and pray and rub oil on me and sing and pray, and I just laid there, not making a sound, not moving. 3 months passed. I just laid there. 4 months passed. 4 months and a half. I come back around. I come back around. I couldn't lift my head. I couldn't lift my head. It hurt so much. I was still bleeding. I could touch the cloth and still feel the blood. They would take me outside and put me on the steps and let me get the sun. Oh, my head hurt so much. Oh, my head hurt. Oh, but the sun feel good on my face though. Sun feel real good. They said, Minty, don't you remember all those things, Minty? I said, yeah, I did. That was just like it was yesterday. They said, oh no, Minty, you've been out for a long time, Minty. I said, right? I've been out for a long time? I said, yeah, Minty. I said, oh. But something strange was happening to me. Something real strange was happening to me. I would talk to people, and right in the middle of the conversation, I would fall off into a deep sleep. I'd wake up 10, 15 minutes later like nothing happened. I said, oh Lord, I am getting ready to run off. I'm thinking about running off, Lord, and I got the sleeping spells. Please take it away, Lord. Please take it away. But I suffered from the sleeping spells for the rest of my life. I just prayed that God would make me stronger. Master says, well, well, well. Well, well, well. Look at you. Since you've been a little old girl, you caused me nothing but grief. Now look at you. Got that hole in your head, half fool. Can't put in a good day's work now. I can't sell you now, even if I wanted to. Nobody's gonna buy you now. What good are you to me? Can't put in a good day's work, can't sell you. What good are you to me now? I got just the thing. In 3 days' time, you're gonna get married to a free man by the name of John Tubman. Maybe you can have some children, some extra hands to help me around the place. Maybe you can be more valuable. 3 days' time, you're going to get married to John Tubman. Ooh, I don't want to get married. I don't have time to be getting married. I want to run off to freedom. I don't even know old John Tubman. But I had no choice in the matter. So 3 days' time come, I had to get married to John Tubman. This ain't the matter. So in 3 days' time come, I had to get married to John Tubman. So, we put the broom on the floor. We jumped over the broom. We jumped back over the broom. That means we was married. I moved into John Tubman's cabin. John Tubman sit on one side, I sit on the other. John Tubman look at me, I look at him. John Tubman, how you get to be a free man? He said, well, I worked real hard, I saved up enough money, and I bought my own freedom. You bought your own freedom? Oh, he said, I got my free papers right here in my pocket. You think maybe you and me could work together and save up enough money to buy my freedom? I want to be free more than anything, John Tubman. So, Harriet, ain't you happy here with this little cabin? Got a place out back, you can grow vegetables and flowers. You can raise chickens and hogs. Ain't you happy here, Harriet? I said, no, I ain't happy here, John Tubman. I ain't happy till I'm up north. Until I'm free. You ain't all that free neither, John Tubman. Master can come in here, burn your papers, beat me, beat you, burn the house down. We can't do a thing about it. We ain't free till we way up north, John Tubman. Oh, Harriet, stop that kind of talk. Stop that kind of talk. You'll see, John Tubman. I'm going to be free if that's the last thing I do. You'll see, John Tubman. Oh, Harriet, stop that kind of talk. Just stop that kind of talk. Next thing I hear, John Tubman is talking to people. Now I know if he's talking to people, pretty soon the word's going to get back to Master. I said, I'm not going to wait for them to sell me. I started getting ready. I said, no, I'm not going to wait for them to sell me. I'm going to go before they sell me way down south. Started packing my bag. Started packing whole cake, meat skins, some water. I got 3 brothers. I told them, I says, in 3 days' time, I'm running off. Y'all going with me? They said, we going with you, Minty. I said, well, you be there. 3 days' time. You meet me down by that big oak tree down by the river. You know the place. Be there 4 days in the morning. Don't be late. They said, we'll be there, Minty. I went over. 3 days' time come. I'm waiting for my brothers. I hear footsteps. My brothers, I said, y'all ready? Come on, let's go. Come on, let's go. I said, no, Minty. We ain't going again. We too scared. I said, don't you think I'm scared too? I'm scared. My heart's beating so fast. I don't know if I'm going to go the right way. I'm going to be all alone at night in the swamp. I don't know if I'm going to find the right way. And I know what's going to happen if they catch me. I know what's going to happen if they catch me. I said, Minty, please don't go. Please don't go, Minty. Look, Minty. The rope's still on the tree from the last person who run off, Minty. That's what they're going to do to you, Minty. That's what they're going to do to you. I said, I know. I know. But I've got to go. 1 minute. 1 minute on free soil. 1 minute as a free woman is enough for my soul. Just 1 minute. I got to go. I got to go. But I promise, I'm coming back for you. I promise. I promise I'm coming back for you. I promise I'm coming back for you, Minty. I promise. I promise.
Welcome, I'm Kimberly Seswick. I'm the Senior Interpretive Specialist at Harriet Tubman National Historical Park. Today I'm in Fort Hill Cemetery and I'm standing next to the gravesite of Harriet Tubman. It's here that she, as a suffragist, and other famous suffragists such as Martha Coffin Wright, Frances Seward, Eliza Osborne are all buried here. But I think I'm getting ahead of myself a little bit because when we think of Harriet Tubman, we don't necessarily think of her as a suffragist. We think of her as someone on the Underground Railroad who was ferrying people from Maryland all the way to Canada. We think about her work during the Civil War as a soldier, a nurse, a spy, a scout, but not as a suffragist. So let me step back just a little bit. She's born in Maryland in 1822. She is born enslaved, the fifth of 9 children. At the ripe old age of 6, she will start to be leased out to other masters. If she does anything wrong, she'll be whipped. Those scars that she receives from these whippings, she'll carry the rest of her life. When she gets sick, she's sent home to her mother, who brings her back to health, and she's leased out again. She witnesses the trauma of the sale of 3 of her sisters who were sold south to the cotton plantations. She remembers the cries of her sisters. She remembers the grief that her parents go through losing those children. At 12, she's hit in the head by a 2-pound counterweight, which crushes in her skull and causes what we think today is temporal lobe epilepsy. With that, she's going to get violent headaches. She's going to develop a sleeping illness. And when she sleeps, she has very vivid visions and dreams. And it's these visions and dreams that she believes it's her God speaking directly to her. She'll marry at the age of 22. She marries John Tubman, a free man. And at this point, she's going to go to her owner and say, let me lease myself out. And I'll pay you $60 a year. I'm going to save all the rest of my money, and when I have enough, I'm going to buy my freedom from you. And also at this time is when she's going to drop the initial name she was given of Araminta Ross. She drops Araminta, takes her mother's name Harriet, drops her maiden name Ross, and brings on Tubman. So from then on, she is Harriet Tubman. Her owner agrees to the arrangement, and that goes on for 5 years. But then the 49-year-old owner died. His widow found out that he had left the family deep in debt. So she says, don't worry, I know exactly what we're going to do. We're going to sell property. And Harriet finds out through the grapevine that it's she and 2 of her brothers who are going to be sold south to the cotton plantations. So this is Harriet's choice. Be sold south and never see her family again, just like her 3 sisters, or go north. Harriet chooses north and trying to get to freedom. So she self-emancipates. She takes her life in her own hands, and she makes it all the way to Philadelphia. In Philadelphia, she cannot believe what freedom is like. She gets her own job. She gets a place to stay. She's the master of her own life. But not long in Philadelphia, she starts to miss her family. And this is when she meets a man by the name of William Still. He's a very famous black abolitionist, and some call him the father of the Underground Railroad. He is part of the Vigilance Committee of the Pennsylvania Anti-Slavery Society. Through William Still, Harriet will get the money She is going to get the means, the maps, and the connections to be able to navigate on the Underground Railroad, returning down to Maryland 13 times to bring up family and friends. Through William Still, Harriet Tubman is going to be introduced to Lucille Mott. Now, Lucille Mott is a white abolitionist living in Philadelphia. She is a Quaker and she's a women's rights activist, a suffragist. And Lucille Mott is going to politicize Harriet Tubman very early on. She will bring her to suffrage meetings as well as abolitionist meetings. And by 1858, Harriet is actually going to be inviting women into her boarding house room and talk to them about abolition and suffragists. So we have Harriet Tubman here as also the image of the suffragist movement. What Lucretia Mott believed, as others believed, was that the plight of white women at this time was very similar to that of enslaved women. So the image of a black woman being chained and bound is going to be the metaphor for all women in the United States. Lucretia Mott is going to introduce Harriet Tubman to her sister, Martha Coffin Wright. And Martha Coffin Wright lives right here in Auburn, New York. So I think maybe we should go up and visit her gravesite now as well. We're now standing at the gravesite of Martha Coffin Wright, the sister of Lucretia Mott. Now, Lucretia Mott and Martha Coffin Wright are two of the 5 women who start the Women's Rights Convention in Seneca Falls in 1848. So Martha, yes, is pro-women's rights as well as a suffragist, and she's an abolitionist. She opens her home as a site on the Underground Railroad. And Harriet Tubman is going to work very closely with Martha Coffin Wright as she brings people up through Auburn to Canada. Also, Martha Coffin Wright is going to continue that politicization of Harriet Tubman as she gets more involved with the suffrage movement. By 1860, she's doing one of her public talks, her first public talk about suffrage. Martha Coffin Wright is going to introduce Harriet Tubman to another R.O.V.E.R.S, and that is William Stewart. William Stewart, by the time Harriet Tubman meets him, is the U.S. Senator from New York State. He will soon be Secretary of State under Abraham Lincoln and becomes a very close friend of Harriet Tubman. So from here, let's head over to the Stewart gravesite. Now we're at the site of William Stewart, and he lies next to his wife, Frances. Now, Frances is the true abolitionist in the family. William Stewart's running for president against Abraham Lincoln, so he does not want to take a strong stance on suffrage or on abolition. But Frances does. She opens her house as a site on the Underground Railroad, welcoming many of those traveling through Auburn on the way to Canada. Harriet Tubman will continue to be introduced to those in the suffrage and abolitionist movements. Now, the war is almost coming. 1861, Civil War starts. It's 1859, and Frances is going to sell a plot of land, 7-acre farm, here on the edge of Auburn in Fleming, New York, to Harriet Tubman. This is in direct violation of the 1850 Fugitive Slave Act. And so the Stewarts should have been thrown in jail for up to 6 months and fined $1,000, but it never happens. William Stewart is so high in the government at this time, they just turn a blind eye. So here is Harriet Tubman in 1859, a landowner. This is where she will live in freedom for 50 years. But she doesn't settle there quite right away. What she does is she actually goes up to Canada as the war is imminent, brings her family down, her parents, and gets them settled in the farm. She turns to her wealthy friends, such as the Stewarts and the Osbornes, and gets their promise that they will look after her family while she goes off and fights in the war. When she returns, not much has been done on the farm. So for about 15 years, we don't have a lot of information on what Harriet Tubman is doing, except getting the farm up and running. She has a large vegetable garden, and she sells her produce up and down South Street to the different houses. She'll work for many of the wealthy families in town as a domestic, and on her property, they make bricks and sell to those that are building homes in the area. When we get to about the 1880s, Harriet is now getting very active back into the women's rights movement. After the war, 1869, we have a lot of the Southern women not believing in equality and fighting against giving Black women the right to vote. This causes a schism in the women's rights movement. And whenever Harriet Tubman was asked, which of the two movements are you a part of, she always says, I'm a part of Susan B. Anthony's organization. So Harriet will go with Susan B. Anthony and others to many of the meetings and conventions, and most of the time she speaks. She speaks about her time in the war and her experiences. And again, many of the white women are relating to what Harriet Tubman is saying, that it should be equality for all. Harriet is very pointed when she's talking about why women should get the right to vote. At one point in many of these speeches, she will say, women were on the battlefield. They went out while the bullets were still being fired and tend to those men who needed help and bring them back and tended to their wounds and cared for them for many months before they were able to return home. Harriet's like, well, if they're able to do this, that's the same work as a man, so why shouldn't we get the vote as well? So Harriet Tubman makes the argument for suffrage based on her own life experiences. She is always short of money for the main reason that she has a very philanthropic mindset. So whenever she has money, she is going to make sure that that money goes to someone else in need. She opens her house here in Auburn to take in any of the sick, any that need food, clothing, or shelter, she brings them in. She takes care of family members. Her brother dies, she took in his widow and the children, and they stayed in the house. Harriet, to make sure that schools are being built for Black children, she will actually have fundraisers here in Auburn, sending all the money down to the Freedmen's Bureau to make sure those schools are built. Harriet continues on the suffrage road, but because she is short of funds, many times she has to make do. Sometimes she sleeps in the railroad station, not even getting a place to stay. At one time when she was asked to speak in Boston, she sold a cow to have the money to get to Boston to speak. Many of her friends will help her in getting to these places, as well as help in her philanthropic opportunities. But Harriet, bottom line, is the one who's trying to earn the money to get to these suffrage organizations, meetings, and conferences. And this is one of the reasons why so many of the historians don't count Harriet Tubman's work in the suffrage movement, because she can't necessarily get to some of the more important conventions and meetings. Harriet Tubman, though, continues to fight. At the ripe age of about 88 years old, she is going to be purchasing a 20-acre tract right next to her farm, because she wants to make sure that those who are old and indigent in the Black community have a place to go. With her herself getting older, she is very aware of the need to have a place for older people to go to. She buys the land. She tries to do enough fundraisers to raise the money to start the Tubman Home for aged and indigent Negroes, but unfortunately never gets the money enough together to get it open. This is when she deeds the property to the African Methodist Episcopal Zion Church, and they take the project on and open the house in 1908. Harriet Tubman will also, right about this time, help start an organization that is still in existence today with over 300,000 members, and that is the National Association of Colored Women. This is an answer to the White Women's Club movement that did not allow Black women to join. And when you look at their inaugural meetings for both groups, white and Black, they are looking at what they should do to better society. So yes, more schools, hospitals, nursing homes. But that's where the white women's organization kind of trails off. And you keep on reading. You can hear Harriet's voice at that inaugural meeting. They're talking about lynching and working against that. They're talking about the loophole in the 13th Amendment, and they're talking about Jim Crow laws, black codes, and convict leasing. They're talking about disenfranchisement in the general sense, not just in the vote, but to get rights for black people. And Harriet Tubman is supporting that organization throughout the rest of her life. Harriet Tubman will eventually, the last 2 years of her life, has to go into the Tubman Home for aged and indigent Negroes. At this point, she is bedridden, but she's still very sharp. And when asked right before she died in March of 1913, if she had any last words, she said she was going on to another place to make a home for all of us. So to her, in her mind, her work was going to continue just in another location. I hope you all have the time to come visit Harriet Tubman National Historical Park. There's so much more to tell about this story and to show you if you come here. So please, hope you come to the park, and thank you.